We have Kaimere at home. Hello. Ever since I finished watching Season 3 of Prehistoric Planet, I knew I wanted to talk about it. But this channel is for fiction only. I'm not a real man after all. But I have also always been fascinated by the concept of kitchen sink prehistory, or whatever that trope is called. When animals from different geological periods all coexist with one another, as well as with humans. Think of Primal, Lost World, and of course Kaimere. So I thought, why not take all the animals shown in all 3 seasons of Prehistoric Planet, and place them all in the same world to see how they interact and coexist. Note that this is strictly a thought experiment on my part. I'm currently not planning to use this for any of my future stories, and even if I did, there's no way I could ever catch up with the series. But you can use it if you want. I just wanna play with the idea. Okay, so the way I decided to do this is by using a single supercontinent with every suitable biome on it. In fact, let's make it look like Pangea, based on the video What Did Pangea Look Like by Atlas Pro. Fitting for a kitchen sink prehistory setting. Also, to account for the difference in global temperature between the late Cretaceous and the Pleistocene, I decided to give this continent expansive highlands. Using Geodiode's highland biome video as a reference, I'm making these highlands have just enough altitude so that the temperature up there is as many degrees lower compared to the lowlands as that of Pleistocene Earth's was from late Cretaceous Earth. Also, I want animals that live on one biome to be able to reach all parts on the continent that have said biome. Otherwise, why even make it one continent? So any 2 environments of the same type are separated by environments that can be traversed by the animals of those environments. Oh, and plants from both time periods grow wherever the conditions are favorable for them. Be it next to each other or exclusively one or the other. Also, I just remember that the series shows island fauna whose whole stick is that they couldn't exist in the same environment as mainland animals. Oh well, time for a quick retcon. There's also a tropical archipelago just far enough to be inaccessible to mainland species, where all the weird island fauna live. There, Zalmoxes, and dwarf stegodon, fill in the niches of small and medium herbivore respectively, while dwarf titanosaurs share the niche of large herbivore with the giant moa and the elephant bird. While the giant fossa, Flores marabou stork, and Hatzegopteryx occupy the niches of small, medium and large carnivore respectively. I was going to present the mainland ecosystems in a similar way, but that turned out to be way harder, due to how speciose and chaotic they were. So my apologies, but I'll do it in a much more vague and chaotic way. The environmental dichotomy I set up earlier, with the cooler highlands and the warmer lowlands, might have you believe that mammals would prefer one and dinosaurs the other. That, however, isn't true. Both dinosaurs and mammals were very accurately shown in the series to live in cold and warm environments. Really, the main dichotomy I see is between grasslands and forests or scrublands. Though present during the Mesozoic, grass became far more popular during the Cenozoic. For that reason, mammals are on average better adapted at processing grass than dinosaurs are. That means that mammals are more common in grasslands, while the dinosaurs are in forests and scrublands. But that's not an absolute either. Ornithomimus is shown to live in a grassland. Giant sloths in forests, and giant armadillos in scrublands. The animal species in those biomes also change with temperature, as animals from colder climates slowly give way to animals from warmer climates the further towards the equator and or sea level one goes. As an example, mammoth and ceratopsians are the dominant herbivores in the grasslands and forests respectively. So as the tundra turns into temperate steppe and then savanna, the woolly mammoth gives way to the Columbian mammoth. And as the boreal forest turns into temperate and then tropical, the Pachyrhinosaurus gives way to Triceratops. Different animals have different levels of tolerance to temperature as well. With Edmontosaurus being the true cosmopolitan, as in reality it can be found anywhere from the North Pole to the tropics. In fact, the highland-lowland dichotomy can encourage frequent altitudinal migrations. On the other extreme, Animals like the woolly rhinoceros and elasmothrium can't survive in the heat, while titanosaurs can't survive in the cold. So mammoth in the plains, ceratopsians in the forests, rhinos anywhere cold, titanosaurs anywhere warm, and hadrosaurs anywhere in general. Those are the basics. Now for the minor additions. Though not closely related with one another, Megalosaurus gives way to Macrauchenia as the cold grassland gets warmer. While giant sloths monopolize their niche in cold and temperate environments, they have to compete with Procoptodon in the savannas, or with Gigantopithecus and Therizinosaurus in the tropical forests. But those animals most likely specialize in certain types of plants, so they could coexist. The related Tarchia, Anodontosaurus, and Antarctopelta live in a warm, temperate, and cold environment respectively, I think. Diprotodon is a desert and scrubland, and probably savanna species. Dinosaurs such as Deinocheirus, Pachycephalosaurus, Prenocephal, and Stygonetta live in wetlands, rivers and lakes, but will move from one such habitat to another if they have to. And Morosaurus and Corythoraptor live in forests. And that was it for herbivores, featuring a few omnivores. Now on to the carnivores. Let's get this out of the way first. Tyrannosaurs are the undisputed apex predators of this land. Nonoxaurus in the colder regions hunts woolly mammoth and large dinosaurs almost exclusively. In the temperate and warm regions, Tarbosaurus dominates the deserts and savannas, while Tyrannosaurus rex dominates the forests. On the trophic level right below those are what I've heard Keenan Taylor refer to as vassal predators. Bigger than any mammalian land predators, but not as big as the truly massive theropods. Kinzausaurus fills that role in temperate forests, while Abelosaurs do so in warm environments. The cold biomes don't have such a niche due to Nonoxaurus being just the right size to fill that and the apex predator role. Also giant asdarchids, short-faced bears, and the Megalonia can fill this role in their ecosystems. Below those levels though, things get messy. Mammals, dinosaurs, pterosaurs, and pseudosuchians, all compete with one another and carve niches for themselves. Though strangely, dinosaurs go after smaller prey. Dromaeosaurs and troodontids hunt animals their own size at the very most, with Masiacasaurus and Scylopterus specializing on much smaller prey than even that. Fish, lizards, snakes, and small mammals. While Mononacus is an insectivore. Carnivorous mammals compete with one another for medium-sized prey, in many ways similar to Earth's African savanna. In fact, this world's savannas are almost a one-to-one analog, with Homotherium filling in for hyena, Enhydriodon for the lion, and Thylacoleo for the leopard. Homotherium can also be found in cooler climates, but always in open habitats, due to being cursorial. Lions and hyenas are represented in the form of cave lions and cave hyenas in the colder parts of the continent. Cave bears are also found there, preferring the boreal forests, but they're also omnivores, so they might rely on plants for food whenever they can, to avoid unnecessary competition. Short-faced bears do something similar in temperate environments, but due to their size are better at scavenging and stealing kills from other carnivores. Smilodon and dogs complete the temperate biome mammalian carnivore caste. Asdarchids on the other hand, occupy a niche completely unfamiliar to anything we have today. They are flying animals that hunt prey on the ground, and can get as large as a giraffe. The other type of pterosaurs shown in the series, I'll just refer to them as non-asdarchids cause I don't remember what group they belong to, are a lot easier to work with. They basically take the role of large sea birds. They chill by the water and snatch fish. Finally we get the giant pterotorn species. Technically also a dinosaur, but were too unique for me to lump them in with the other ones. Their niche and hunting style is similar to that of asdarchids, except they are a bit smaller. They might niche partition due to size, but I think them being related to New World vultures makes them better suited at processing carrion. Which is the opposite of how Prehistoric Planet portrayed them and the asdarchids, but is more accurate if my sources are correct. So these teratorns are to asdarchids what short-faced bears are to abelosaurs. Okay, this is getting way longer than I expected, so I will try to speed up these last few ones. They don't have much to talk about after anyway. The oceans of this world are pretty much a copy of those of late Cretaceous Earth, with the addition of Stellar's sea cow. It has to look out for mosasaurs, but the thick skin and ability to hide in the kelp forests should be enough to help it survive. Simosuchus. I completely forgot about this guy until now. Burrowing herbivore that lives in deserts and scrublands. Little to compete with, except maybe small glyptodonts. And then there's the animals that are either modern ones, or reskins of modern ones. Inocean and Protocean for instance are technically not dogs, but look at them. They're dogs. Same with Shamosuchus. Technically not a crocodile, but basically a crocodile. Enantiornithians, basically birds. Similodon and Odalatherium, basically rodents. Madswata, basically a constrictor snake. Beelzebufo, frog but somewhat bigger. Propleopus. Another one I completely forgot until now. Not a one-to-one, but it was shown to act a lot like a mongoose. And with that we're finally done with the animals. Though I did save the best for last. The third season of Prehistoric Planet also shows a single clip of Homo sapiens. Which means we can have our humans in the setting. Now I could go on describing all kind of different tribes and cultures that could develop in such a world. But if I do that, this video will turn into a feature-length movie. So for now I'll just mention some broad generalizations. Let me know in the comments if you want me to expand on this in a future video. Okay, so first of all, I don't want the humans to drive all these prehistoric animals into extinction. I know they can do that, but then what's the point of even making this? Maybe I can explain it as the animals and the humans having coexisted since the beginning, so it won't be an invasive species situation like what happened on Earth. If that's not enough though, I'll just hand wave it. After all, Keenan Taylor literally explained it as the result of magic, so nothing is off the table I guess. And let's also make the climate unrealistically stable just to turn the odds even more in our favor. Human lives in this world actually won't be too dissimilar from those of our Earth's prehistory. With sedentary foragers and possibly farmers settling in fertile river valleys and coasts, and more nomadic hunters following game across vast distances further inland. Both in our prehistory and this one, however, human cultures existed in a spectrum between these two options, not an either or binary. Humanity in this setting is however shaped by the different animals it shares the world with. Of all the animals humans ever domesticated, only dogs are present here. Well, there's also horses in the form of zebras, but good luck domesticating those. Still, humans will need animals to do certain jobs, so they'll have to make do. Macrauchenia is this world's most popular mount instead of the horse. As well as Pachycephalosaurus, but that one's a more situational mount. The smart and trainable Scilopterus assumes house cat duties, driving away vermin and being silly for no reason. Masiacasaurus as well as small dromaeosaurs can also fill this role, but are harder to train. Livestock is a little trickier, especially since everything is so much bigger and more dangerous here. If woolly rhinoceros is more like a bull than a bison, it is possible for polar human tribes to farm it, otherwise it's just reindeer for them. Small herbivorous dinosaurs are also great candidates. As well as the previously mentioned Macrauchenia and Pachycephalosaurus. But perhaps the most ideal livestock would be the dwarf dinosaurs of the tropical islands. They have all the benefits of their full-sized counterparts, but are small enough to keep in a farm. Interestingly enough, humans that herd dinosaurs instead of mammals have access to eggs but not dairy. For that reason, they have no need for the mutation that allows humans to digest lactose. Hunters might actually have it easier than herders. If they can hunt mammoth, they can also hunt large hadrosaurs and ceratopsians. Not only does that provide greater variety of game, but also doesn't put as big a pressure to their populations. As where mammoths give birth to one young, similarly sized dinosaurs lay clutches of eggs each nesting season. No tribe attempts to hunt titanosaurs though. Even if there is a way to take one down, the effort required could be better spent taking down multiple smaller dinosaurs. Ankylosaurs might also be more trouble than they're worth due to how well defended they are, but that defense can also make them targets. If shark teeth can be made into weapons, why not an ankylosaur's tail? Predators of any kind aren't hunted, except as a rite of passage, or if they pose a threat to a particular settlement. This brings up the question of how human culture is affected by this different world. Despite what you may think, prehistoric humans did interact even across vast distances. At least in parts of the world that were in the same continent more or less. So placing them all in one continent helps with that. Also, I want there to be interactions of different cultures just as much as of different prehistoric animals. And you better believe those animals play an important role in their culture. The truly massive dinosaurs are mostly seen as guardians of nature itself rather than just mere animals. Animals that provide food are revered as a gift from the divine, while mammalian predators are seen as having the strength humans strive to achieve. Large man-eating reptiles, however, have the worst reputation of all. As darkids in particular are always presented as demonic in stories and art. The idea of a huge flying monster descending from the sky, galloping towards you, snatching you with its colossal beak, and devouring you whole, is just too much for the human brain to handle. Indeed, the most common depiction of a dragon in this world is a chimera of Asdarkid, Abelisaurid, and Megalonia. Those who sail out at sea also tell stories of the sea monsters they encounter there, but despite said monsters being absolutely 100% real here, they inspire the exact same legends as the fake ones of modern Earth. And yet, I think this is all I wanted to say about this idea, at least for now. Holy frick, was this a lot. Not only the size of the script itself, but also me having to go back and rewrite it again and again. And I'm still coming up with things I want to include in the setting. Which is funny because I'm probably never gonna use it. I do want to write a prehistoric fantasy story, but I don't even know if I want to use actual prehistoric creatures, or more made-up fantastic ones. Or if I want there to be one continent or many. Or whether or not I'll stick strictly to prehistory. There's the chance that I'll incorporate Bronze Age stuff too. Maybe just copper as a compromise. Anyway, if you made it this far, thanks for sitting through all the ramblings. Like I may or may not have said at the beginning, you can use this in your own works if you want. Also, if you want to give me feedback on the idea, I would very much appreciate it. I'm now gonna force myself to stop typing and get some rest. Goodbye.